Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to go back to one of our favorite annual releases, Dustin, the Lagavulin 12, this time, 2013.
Just short of 10 years old, Mike.
Yeah, this one comes in at 55.1% ABV, Dustin. And this, I guess, would be a 2000 or 2001 vintage.
Yes.
So, as far as when the whiskey was put in the cask. So, we've done a lot of these Lagavulin 12s. We've done the 19, 21, 18, 17, 16, 15. I believe we've done the 14, but if not, I have a couple bottles. This is the 13. We are going to go back and do as many as we can. I have everything going back into 2009, I want to say. And at some point, we'll compare them. But
the exception of the 2020, which we skipped.
We skipped the 2020. We did not do that. But we love Lagavulin 12, and we have a bunch of them. I have a bunch of them, and we're going to bring you as many as we can just to kind of show you the difference. So again, this is the 2013. From my recollection of this bad boy, this focus on some of the ashier notes of Lagavulin, Dustin, but always good to look back since the 2021 was a good offering. And
yeah, you can see that just pale color right there, guys. That just tells you Lagavulin is. There's no reason why they'd be coloring this.
They probably are still, though.
They probably put some in there just for the heck of it.
All right, so very much like the 2014, very lemon forward.
Gosh, yeah. What's interesting about this one, Mike? Do a really forceful nosing. It's a completely different whiskey than if you just take just barely kind of just take a little sniff.
With a lot of them, you're right. Yeah, if you're going for a forceful nosing, as you called it, you get a lot of spice, a lot of pepper, a lot of peat.
Yeah, I mean, initially you might just only really get some a little bit of vanilla, oak, and a hint of smoke. Mm-hmm. You smell a little more, the smoke starts picking up. A little more, you start getting the bitterness, as you kind of said, the ashy character comes through. Mm-hmm. Smell even more, and suddenly you start getting some bitter, almost a little bit sour oak kind of comes through there.
Yeah, when we noticed the sour note on, I can't remember which one it was, 2019, I want to say. I went back and I could pick up the sour note in a few of the other ones, although it was more subdued. Like you said in that one, the wrong things were turned up and the right things were turned down.
Yeah, I mean, again, if there's too much sour oak, problem. Mm-hmm. A little bit of sour oak adds complexity and depth. Here, I'm getting complexity and depth.
This one is so sooty compared to the other ones. And Lagavulin is a dirty, smoky ashy malt on the best of days. This one is even sooty for Lagavulin. And Lagavulin does range from smoky, sooty, ashy, back and forth. Yeah. A little bit, two parts of this, one part of this. So it's that note, and it's always fun.
Yeah, this is very that traditional cask, if you will, that refill bourbon. Just classic refill bourbon.
Yeah, I get a lot of lemon, though. Yeah. These from 12, 13, 14, those had a lot of lemon in it.
Light lactose.
Yeah, I agree with that, too.
Lemon, lactose, char, ash.
Pepper to go along with that ash. Man, it's a dirty, sooty whiskey. I mean, to look at it, it looks like pale sunshine.
It's like peppered corned beef or something.
Right,
but
to smell it.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's such a meaty whiskey.
Yeah. And yet it's also it's kind of astringent and sharp on the nose to where it's not that heavy and waxy. It's just, again, depending on how much you nose it, it's very chameleon-like.
You're right. It gets thick and heavy and then light and airy.
Yeah.
It gets fruity and it gets ashy, then it gets sooty.
Whatever version of it you want to smell, you can smell it here.
It's always been such a good offering for a 12-year-old whiskey. Mm-hmm. Especially for a Scotch, that's got a climate that really isn't conducive to aging things quickly, especially in refill casks, which these 12s are. They're traditional bourbon casks. What are you picking up?
It's just straight up ash, Mike.
I told you, man. 12, 13 were ashy whiskeys.
Oh, and the finish gets even ashier. The funny thing was when I first got in there, I was starting to look for this beef broth, meaty barbecue thing that was in there, and I was trying to focus on that, and the ash just kept coming around all around it, circling it. Really nice, clean, consistent, essentially new make elements. But I'm not getting any of those, where it looks like they cut a little too wide, left kind of some of those tails in there. None of those notes. Really, man, I mean, the finish is excellent. The body's great. The mouthfeel, Everything about this is just so well done.
You get pepper and lemon initially, but as soon as you swallow, you're right, man. Man, that peat and that wallop of smoke just has an overcoat of ash on it.
Whew.
It's like a dragon burnt down the farm. You know what I mean? Wow.
It's Game of Thrones, and you've just found all the bodies of a village just destroyed by the dragons.
Yeah, that was the dragon I was thinking of for sure. But yeah, super. That smoke intermingled with the ash, just it's like a nuclear winter almost on the mouth. I mean, it is just so ashy, so dirty, so sooty. And it lingers, man. I mean, this is, people talk about cigar whiskeys, and I'm not a cigar guy, but this feels like you're chewing the end of the cigar right now.
This is the end of smoking a cigar for sure.
It's still lit in your
really
mouth.
Coming through.
It's like Greek fire in your mouth. God.
I'll tell you what, it's taken on a more peppery note with the water.
And I was going to say, then at the end, the spice is really what you get on the linger. Not the lemon, not anything else like that. It is just spice, and you're right, it's pepper with a backbone of salt, though. Man. These have changed. These are, every time that we have a multiple and we sit down, we can say, oh, this is sweeter, this is ashier, this is sootier, but we always come back and say the same thing. There's so many things recognizable from 2010 to 2021, but they are still so different.
God, it's gotten so salty. Like, we always say Lagavulins get salty, but man, this is super salty. I mean,
this was the after dinner Lagavulin. You know what I mean?
It's like somebody got
dessert.
It's like somebody got a bag of Lay's potato chips and then added just started pouring salt in it. I mean, it's just comes at you.
This feels, because you and I picked up a couple of 13s.
Yep.
Here recently, so we both independently have kind of dug into this bottle because it's the Lagavulin 12 we have open now. This is what we go through for you guys. We're going to bring you another Lagavulin 12 video. We will both drink it for a month or so beforehand a couple of times to make sure we got our notes down. But for this particular one, I remember having the expectation of super ashy, and this never disappointed in that expectation for 1 second.
Well, I've still got the 2021 open.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be so much fruity.
It's not the fruit so much as it's like the vanilla custard sweetness that's just so intense on that one.
You're right. There should be vanilla here, but I can't get to it.
I pick it up like when I first taste it, like on the front of the tongue for like half a second, if that, and then it's gone.
Then the dragon burns it.
And then I smell a little like when I nose it, but it's just, it comes and goes. That ash is just unbelievable.
It makes me feel good. So when I originally told Dustin that when we got these 13s, I'm like, man, 12 and 13 were the ashiest, sootiest Lagavulin 12s I remember. And what I did was back then I used to write down my tasting notes. So I went back to it and I was like, oh, the super ash should be like, the 2014 was so much fruitier. And I was thinking like, maybe, I was off. Those were kind of when I was first getting into Lagavulin 12s. As soon as I had this, I'm like, nah, I'm pretty much still right there with that one.
Don't you love when you go back to like something you wrote years ago and you're just like, nailed it, thinking the same thing today.
Thinking the same thing today. I mean, to some degree, that isn't shocking. I'm the same person.
Yeah.
But, that was earlier in my whiskey journey. I hadn't had as many Lagavulins,
there's some
things
whiskeys
like
that for me have changed. Like Macallan Classic Cut. I really enjoyed the 2017 when I first opened it.
Yeah.
Now I go back to it and I can't get over how poor the malt tastes.
Finally.
Took a while. Hey, at the time, I couldn't get through that thick, heavy.
I've had whiskeys like that too. Yeah, I've had whiskeys like that too.
Like it was whiskey, you couldn't get through that, and then you get a little more experience. Whereas Lagavulin 12, it's simple and yet so beautifully well done.
If you like that Isla smoke, especially Lagavulin, man, it's very distinct. You know what I mean? It's distinct, meaty Lagavulin. If you like it, this whiskey is your bread and butter.
Yeah.
I have more individual bottles of this than I do. I have 22 individual bottles of 12. It's a whiskey that is always good, and even the years just makes it different, not bad, unless it's 2019 or 20.
A lot of people have kind of made the comments over time that we do gravitate a little bit more toward heavier cask influence.
Agreed.
Particularly, sherry, port, but even first fill bourbon versus a refill.
Sure.
And the reason is because there are a lot of distilleries that have a malt that I think deserves to be center stage.
Yes, and it needs to be covered up. Not Lagavulin.
Lagavulin is a malt that needs to be center stage. Kleinleach is a malt that can be center stage. Springbank is a malt that I'm okay with being center stage, although I like...
Lefroy, Ardbeg, there's a few of them.
There's a few, but, Balvenie, I like Balvenie, but I kind of prefer those to be more of like a first fill bourbon to really kind of enhance the sweetness.
Same thing with Macallan Highland Park. I'm right there with you.
I mean, again, I like some all bourbon Highland Parks, but it's not their best.
Yeah, no, buddy, Lagavulin, I'm right there with you.
But this, we like some heavy sherry Lagavulins. We like those really old. Mm-hmm. When they're just going to give us the malt, just give us the malt, baby.
Just give us the malt, get out of the way. I mean, I like it all. You can finish it with port, like they did for the 13-year-old for the facial, long ago.
I got that mezcal finished one even.
Yeah, you can do those things.
It's cool.
But this is still, I always come back to that. Is it really, how much better is it than the 12 for $150 or whatever the 12 goes for these days? Yeah. And it's getting more expensive, but, the last couple of years, because this year their releases were the 12, the year before they were the 13s. I look at it as, the 2017 was better. The 2016 was better. Maybe the 2020, 19, they were a little better because they were older, but it's not really that much better than this. Not from a whiskey score perspective.
No, I mean, they're different. That's what you pay for sometimes. When it comes down to money, you're paying for different
and rarity.
Uniqueness.
And rarity.
And rarity, yeah. I'm not paying for rarity, but some people are. I'll pay for uniqueness, though. Like, to me, that's I know they're kind of the same thing, but they're different. Like, I've never had a mezcal finished whiskey period until that Lagavulin. I was willing to pay extra because I wanted to see what it would do.
Yeah, for sure.
I like port, but there's not enough port whiskey, so again, I'll pay a premium because it's got port in it. I will.
Oh, man, this is one of the better Lagavulins. I never really stacked the 13 high on my list, but I'm right there with it.
Yeah, that's really good.
All right, Dustin. So I'm gonna write down a score, and then I'm gonna let you give me your score. And I had a couple different numbers in my head for this particular one.
Yeah, I'm going all over the place here, Mike.
But I'm gonna call it a high. I'm on the high end of what I was gonna score this whiskey in my head coming into it. But I'm gonna let you go first.
89.
89 of 100. Tell me why.
Like, we talk about wow factor, right? It's just big. It's bold.
Yep.
Lagavulin's malt is a beautiful whiskey. It's meant to be showcased, and this is Lagavulin's malt at its absolute. Honestly, I can't think of a better example of Lagavulin malt than this particular bottle. I love the ashy, smoky element here. I also like the 2021 where it came in huge on the vanilla. Do I like one more than the other? Depends on the day.
Agreed.
This 89, I think, is a very fair score. I feel like it's high, but it's just so good.
Yeah, I've always rated the Lagavulin 12s anywhere between like an 86 and a 90. You know what I mean? I'm usually
this finish right here, just still going.
It's
excellent
for sure. But this is why I'm glad I wrote it down. I'm exactly at an 89, just like you, my friend. Mike Dicka going an 89 with this one. Yeah, this one is it has nothing that I don't like in it. Like it did some of the things in 19 and 20. It has a little bit of lemon that I love out of the 2014, which I still think the 2014 is my favorite. We'll compare a bunch of them one day. I still picked out the ashy note, and I'm happy I still remembered the big takeaways for this whiskey. I did miss some subtle things looking back on it. This is a better whiskey than I gave it credit for back in the day. The 2013 is a good one to have, and I'm glad we were able to pick up 3 recently.
Well done. Yeah, that was a great find. Good friend of mine found a couple of those in New York, and
appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that for sure. Actually, I've been looking for the 2013 for quite some time again, and I found 2 like instantly within like 6 weeks of each other. So here we are, and we get to
crazy how that works.
We get to still drink them. Shockingly, there's still 9-year-old Lagavulin releases hanging around the U.S. in stores. So everyone, take a look and make sure to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, if you see old Lagavulin 12, pick them up. You get the fancy. In my opinion, fancy box. Or aristocratic, I think, as you've said.
Aristocratic, yes.
It looks better on your shelf.
It does. Yeah, good one. 2013 Lagavulin 12. We'll bring as many Lagavulin 12s as we can. We're going to try to do every single one of them other than the 2020. So we've got 7 or 8 of them. I got more bottles to do. We'll do our best. Dustin, until next time, we'll wish the folks
happy drinking, and my glass is empty. Almost.
We'll see you next time.